Can games help us grow? Guys, thank you so much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast, all about helping gamers realize their full potential. And today I have a very special guest for you today. This is Michael Taylor, Michael TaylorLyfe influencer, owner, and creator of Chaotic Chronicles TTRPG label. Gosh, thank you so much for being here, Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. Thanks for having me on the show. It's very excited.
Absolutely. So we talk about everything from gaming to career development, personal development skills, and from what I understand, so being kind of mostly a tabletop or I guess board games, but you've done, of course, video gaming as well, right?
hmm
So
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of talk through just kind of the journey as far as how you started and kind of your experience with games that kind of helped led you to where you are now.
Well, it's been a long journey. I am definitely a child of the '80s. I grew up my entire childhood in the '80s. And I was there when like Nintendo came out, and that was like a huge thing. I was one of those. If you ever watched that, what's that movie, The Whiz Kid with the power glove and all that crazy
Yes.
stuff?
Oh my gosh.
When that movie came out, like we were all kids, like
Uh,
we were all chanting it out and everything. That was amazing.
For those
So
watching, I have a power glove in the background right here.
I see it.
That's
It's
awesome.
awesome. So yeah, man. So I've been an avid gamer, man, for quite some time. You know, video games, and then into comics and board games. We didn't when we were kids, we didn't have a million channels. We had like, especially if I grew outside city limits, so we had 7 channels if we were lucky on a clear day. And then we
Yep.
had the same VHS tapes, so we couldn't sit around watching TV all day. So we had to make up our own stuff. So board games was our thing growing up because you can buy them once and play them a million times, and then you can just make your
Yep.
own game up as you go. And so that's where my childhood was. I started off, and then Nintendo. We had the same 3 or 4 games that we try to beat and try to time it, and you could definitely beat Mario in 45 minutes if you tried. You know.
Wow, impressive. Yep.
uh, so it's just one of those things. And as I growing up, I started writing, and I started getting into. My dad got me the game Hero Quest when it came out in 1988, I think 89. My dad got it for me, and that was my gateway drug. So from there, it just spiraled out of control. I love writing. I love making stories. I loved being a dungeon master. I love creating this stuff and playing games. Plus, it was able to play because video games you can a lot back then you can only play with one other person. You know, it was 2 players.
Right. Yeah. There's
Uh,
the two slots, right? You can do one
yeah,
and two players, and
not
that was
I think
it.
not until Super Nintendo it had 4 players. I think.
Yeah. Super
Um,
Nintendo, you could do the extender to do three, actually,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you still
yeah,
couldn't even
three,
do
yeah,
four.
yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't
So it
even
was
until
this.
like GameCube, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So it was very
64 right before that. Yeah.
64. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
64.
Yeah.
So when that was the board games, we could play around the table. We can have all that. We can be who we wanted to be, and we can use our imagination and just be around people that are definitely supportive in your type of hobby and your world. So that was it. And I grew up. I was in the '80s. Like I said, we talked earlier. Like there's no labels. There's no ADHD. There was no dyslexia. There was no high functioning autism or anything like that. And so there back then, you were just dumb, or something was wrong with you, or you were a hyper boy,
Yep.
and so that I was all of them across the board, and
All of it.
yeah, all of them. So as I went through, I was a closet nerd. I read my comics, at my house, in my room by myself, and then I played my games, with the few friends or family that did, and then after growing up, I went into the military after high school, and not very many people played the games like I did, and I just kind of stuck with video games, did a lot of video games and learning and after 22 years, I retired, and during that time, at the end, as I kind of was going back to my original state of board games. I'd been an avid gamer for quite some time. Like I had almost all the systems from um, the the Nintendo all the way up to the Xbox, and then from there,
Gotcha.
I sorry, I had somebody walk across my yard. Got me distracted. So what are you
Uh-oh.
doing? Uh, um, so and then I went from PlayStation and then went up to Xbox, and from there, just to me, when I got the taste of board game again, it just got the taste, and I ran with it, man, and it helped me get back to like writing. I loved writing. I was a huge, just a writer. I loved it, man, and as I did that, I opened up a marketing agency right before I got out of the military. I started working there, and it became like more of a job than I wasn't really into. I was supposed to be retired, supposed to be having fun, and
Right.
a year and a half into it, I'm like, man, like I'm dreading getting up out of bed, and my office was my house. Like I was just like, yeah, this sucks, man. This is not what I wanted. And then as I was doing that, I was playing, a lot more D&D. I was playing with the kids. And COVID broke out. We I started bringing D&D around, and me and the kids started playing more. And then from there, I started writing modules and started handing them out to friends, and my friends were like, "Man, you should probably get those published." And I did, and they started being sold on the websites. I was like, "Holy crap, this is awesome!" Um, so as I did that, I started creating a label. Chaotic Chronicles is my
Mhm.
label, so you guys check it out, chaoticchronicles.com. Well, we just had a successful second Kickstarter, which was both of them did very well. For no following, we had no following, we had no, nothing. We started with just a couple guys, and we started this, and then we were successful, and man, we were so lucky and blessed. And with that, we are constantly working on new things, and I'm able to kind of branch out and help other people. And as I was making my label, this has been probably about a little over a year now. As I was creating my label, I was asked to come on a show. I created a community called Dungeon Scribe Society. It's a world community for all these different types of creators, not just tabletop or D&Ds. They are podcast hosts, they are writers, they're published authors, they're poets, musicians, all these types. Usually dealing somewhat in the geek realm, but nonetheless, they're all creators. So one of the guys asked me, "Hey man, like I'm really needing help. I see that you're really good with business. I see that you're really good with creating and doing this stuff. I need help getting my podcast off the ground again. We're 3 seasons in, and I'm not seeing anything." I was like, "Cool, man. I've never done a podcast before, and everything I'm doing right now is new. So I'm learning as I go." So
Awesome.
we sat down, we had a business plan, and I was like, "Okay, as a business, this is what we should do." And he was like, "All right, cool. I never thought of that." And I was like, "You take care of the tech stuff, publishing, editing, all that stuff, getting us on the air, and I will, I'll network. I'll do my networking thing. And then I will start connecting and scheduling." And we did, and I had my first episode, and then from there we started gaining traction. And I'm telling people about it, and I'm using the connections that I had. And then by the end of the season, this past May, we wrapped up on our final episode for the season. We had 3 months, a 3 month waiting list to get on our show, and we had people from like Wizards of the Coast on. We've had people from all over the world. We had our show I don't think I even said it. Side Quest on podcast.
Hmm.
Anywhere you can find a podcast is Side Quest, because we are the paladins of podcast. And so you can check us out there. We talk about everything TTRPG, gaming, the business world, crowdfunding. We try to help people out. And with that, we had so many people trying to get on, and I was like, man, this is amazing. And then we looked at our numbers, because we haven't looked at those forever, because we had no numbers in the beginning, and
Right.
we man, I want to say we almost quadrupled the numbers from the time that I started until then. And then every week our numbers were constantly going up, steady, single digits at first, and then going. And I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing. Um, so that was
That's
really cool, man. Go ahead. No, no, sorry.
that's fantastic story. Just so many questions even come up because I know those listening are like, maybe fascinated by just this leaps that you're making. And because I think from what I heard earlier too, that this kind of success, right? Coming out, what you think you're retired, this kind of span within 3 years, right?
Yeah. So
Because you mentioned
yeah,
like since COVID, but then like even since I think 2022 is I think what you said is earlier too.
yeah.
So all this growth, all this change, and all these additional followers and everything, even within 3 years. Uh, and I know those listening, and also myself included, are like, "Wow, this is amazing. How did that happen?" Or like, what was the thought behind it, or what was the I'll call it the secret sauce behind this kind of growth?
All right, I'm gonna tell you the secret sauce. I'm gonna tell you, and it's gonna be super easy, and you're gonna be rich by the end of the day. You ready?
Right.
I don't sleep, so
Okay.
all right. So there's no secret. There's no secret at all, and I tell people this: it's gonna what you're doing right now is gonna affect you 6 months from now. That is the key. You what you have to do is step back. I had joined a an organization to help. Actually, it's an organization to help rescue children from trafficking, and they helped us do.
Yeah.
I met several business people as well, and they helped me with this thing. And what they did was one of the things that out of everything that I've done with them, the only one thing that helped me the most is they said, "Hey, take this spreadsheet, and I want every day. I want you to write down everything you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed for 1 week. All right? Don't change anything you do. Just write this down." I was like, "Okay." So I wrote it down, and then they came back the week later. They're like, "All right, now see how much time you wasted." And I was like, "Okay." Well, he thought, "What's not important?" And I looked, and I was like, "Oh my God, things that I thought that I was doing productive was not like productive at all." So I was wasting like 5, 6 hours a day, and I was sleeping way too much. Like, I was like, "What in the world, man?" So I started balancing it out, and they're like, "Okay, let's start changing it. Let's start cutting the fat off. Let's cutting the fat off." And when I did, I was like, "Okay, so I don't need to sleep that much. Like that's one thing. Everybody thinks you need to have these large amounts of hours of sleep, and I'm like, so that's one thing. So hey, 6 hours, 7 hours max. You don't need to sleep that much. You don't need 10, 12 hours every. Um, 6 hours, 7 hours, you're good to go. Exercise. You need to exercise at least 1 hour a day. Even if it's for a walk, you go on a walk for an hour. Something. And then because that gets your body and your mind and everything flowing. That's the big thing. And not a lot of people think that. And then after that, I sit down. I took this note from Stephen King. Stephen King says that he sits down at his job, which is his house, and he has a quota that he has to write every day. It doesn't matter how long it takes him to write, but he has to write his quota of words. And he's like, and then you have a task. So I have this task sheet. I'm like, all right, I have to get this done. And I work from home now, so I moved my office to my house, and so I'm like, okay, my kids are home now, especially for summer. I'm like, okay, I have to bust my ass really hard for these next couple of hours because they're gonna start waking up around noon, and that's it. I can't
Yep.
concentrate, especially being a writer and a creator and things. It's really hard. So I plan my schedule kind of like around that, and then at night, at the end of the night, I usually do my homework, and then I try to fit in a couple little extra things that I do at the end of the night, so that I can go and finish the rest of my night with my wife after the kids go to bed. Um, and what I did was cut out so much fat, like scrolling on social media, watching random just like nonsense YouTube pages, YouTube channels and shows, watching TV, not yeah, sure, man, watch your show. We were stuck on Supernatural with my kids, for quite a while, and I was
Love
like,
that
okay,
show.
not yeah, I know it's so awesome. But watching 5, 6 episodes a day, come on, man. Like, I was like, okay, one episode, that's it. Like, that's all we get. We have other things that we could be doing. Um, and so that is a huge thing. So I say, whatever you do right now is what's going to affect you in 6 months, and I promise you, it will. You're going to look back 6 months from now, even if you do something small for 2 hours a day at first, because that's going to be a lot at first. At two
Yeah.
hours, you're like, oh my god, I can't fit 2 hours, but no, but you can sit on the couch and scroll for 2 hours, and you won't even miss it. And which I figured out that if I took all that stuff out and I just use social media as part of my work and my job and doing all that, that it looks like I'm on all the time because I've it scheduled to post for me. But outside
Mm.
of that, 20 minutes, I'm on it, I'm out, I'm off, that's it. And it just looks like I'm on it all day, or doing something.
Excellent.
Um,
Because you brought
yeah.
up something really interesting with that. Because as far as cutting out the fat, right, and getting to that point where, and I like the exercise. I've heard of that before. As far as writing down everything that you do within a week. Yeah, not changing anything, just understanding. Because the awareness
Hmm.
is just so powerful. Just to even look at it. Because like even if you just, again, you're just looking at it, right? Because you could have somebody to help you walk through to say like, hey, what if you did this and this and this, and you can move this time. But even just looking at it yourself, you could be like, wow, I'm spending so much time like doom
Yeah.
scrolling on the internet. Maybe I should not be doing that as
Oh
much.
man, it's so bad. I was embarrassed. Like I don't think I even showed anybody my sheet. Like I was like that was so embarrassed because I was like, "Oh, I am a professional. I am a I'm a businessman. I This is what I do. I know what I'm doing." Man, I had no idea what I was doing. I was wrong. I was so wrong. And and then so I had to step back and then I had to start looking at that schedule. And I went back the next week and I started cutting out some of those things on that sheet. I was like, okay, what am I filling this time with? Okay, let me expand this time on a little bit more. And then on top of that, they were like, okay, try to read one book a month. One book a month. I was like, okay. So I started reading actual like, self-help, business, educational style books. And I learned a lot more about marketing. I learned a lot more about business. I learned a lot more about myself. I learned a lot more about health and like how everything connects and everything. And I was like, man, this is really good. And by the end of the year, I had read 54 books by the end of the year.
Wow.
And yeah, so I had learned so much just that one year. This was all last year. Last January, I started that. Um, and
Awesome.
yeah, so yeah, it was so good. And I tell you what, one of the books somebody told me, and I didn't believe them. I didn't. And this is not me Bible thumping. It's the book of Proverbs, right? So it's a book. It's not just about the Bible. It's about a dad talking to his son, giving him advice. And the book of Proverbs has 31 chapters. There's 31 days in the year, in a month. So you read one chapter a day, and it's telling you. And I said, and there was so much about just life that you learn about how being a better person, how to treat people, how to think, how to be healthy. There's so much. I thought it was just the Bible, like just in the Bible, you thumping, but it wasn't. I was so, and I've done it every month since, So I read one chapter every day, and you learn. It's just a dad. Think about a dad talking to his son, because it's King Solomon talking to his kids, and like,
Mhm.
hey, like this is it. And it was, a king talking to the princes and trying to teach them wisdom, and it was amazing. And I do that every day still. And it's helped me because gives you wisdom and the way to treat people, and I talk and approach people so much better now because just because of that, because it gave me a different perspective on life because I was like, okay, maybe I was doing something wrong. I wasn't really talking to somebody, or I wasn't treating them the way they should be treated. And then that's it. Like that was it. Like and it helped out a lot. And plus, on top of the other books and the other people that I met, I started networking other people. Um, so that was great, man. Like I really learned a lot that year, and then so I think that was more of like my year that I learned, but I cut out so much stuff as well.
Yeah.
A lot of gaming, a lot of stuff, but I don't have to do that again. So I sacrificed a year to grow, so that now that I actually have a gaming label that I actually get to play and try to kind of work things out.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that's definitely a worry I think that comes up with a lot of people because they hear this kind of trimming the fat, the wasted time, and it may have to cut back on their gaming time too.
Yeah.
And because you mentioned also kind of at the beginning as far as creating, you got into a situation where you kind of created a job for yourself, right? Where you're
Mm.
just like, hey, I was trying to retire and I somehow created a job that that's not what I want. So how would you, yeah, I guess what kind of advice would you give to people that are like, hey, I don't want to just create myself my own job. I want to be a business owner,
Mm.
not like a business operator. And then, also for those people that are worried, they're like, hey, if I trim all this fat, it's going to cut into my game time. It's not going to be fun anymore. Like
Yeah.
like this kind of work-life
Um.
balance, if you will, to say like,
Yeah.
is it
Like
only work?
one, you're gonna have to experiment. Like everybody, you're gonna have to experiment. You're gonna have to fail, and if you don't fail, then you're never learning. So that's just because then you're just stuck in your comfort zone, and that's never going to be successful. Um. What I can say is try everything, okay, and then fail at most of it, but don't give up. Like that's the thing. Most people give up. So many people give up, and they don't get anywhere, and they're just like, it didn't work for me. Well, yeah, because you quit. If you keep going, I had so many failures last year doing all of this stuff, and I wanted to quit. and I had some very, very good people on my side. They're like, get up, quit feeling sorry for yourself, quit crying, get up, and you're better than this. And you will have to cut back on some stuff if you want to grow. You have to do. There's some things that you're going to have to sacrifice for a small amount of time. Like I said, like I cut out so much stuff then that past year, so that I could actually do it now. I have a team, I have friends, I have a network, and I do all of these things now that is working as a machine now. It's working for me. Am I rich? Absolutely not. I still have to work. I still have to make the money. I'm still, I still drive the same truck that I had, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and it's not my wife doesn't drive around in a Maserati, so I'm not
Yeah.
I'm no different than anybody else. The only difference is that I get up an hour earlier probably, and I work an hour later, and I don't doom scroll, and if
Yeah.
you actually see something, if you enjoy it, somebody else is going to enjoy it. That's the way you look at it. Okay, okay. And I tell my guys when we write adventures for our modules, I'm like, hey man, they're like, well, what's the people going to like, or what's the public going? I'm like, who cares? I don't care. I was like, if you like it, then someone else is bound to like it. You know, Stephen King wrote in one of his articles, they were like, hey man, like, so how do you reach everybody's point? How do you make sure you reach all your readers and and make sure they like it? He's like, I don't give a shit about what people think. I do not write for them. I do not write for you. I write for me. If I like it, then I'm writing it and then I'm putting it out there. I don't care what you think. And I was like, wow, that's pretty bold. He's one of the famous writers, and this guy just puts it out there. And I was like, okay. So then we started doing that, and people started liking it. Because I was like, "Oh, if we like it, that means we are putting in the time, the effort. We're putting, we're putting ourselves on the line. And
Right.
that's a huge thing. A lot of people think are trying to please everybody. They're trying to like, no, just keep your walls and doors closed, and then you release it. Open the door when it's ready.
Right.
Because
Because I think that
somebody's
is a
out there.
problem. Yeah, I think that's absolutely a problem that people have is that they're much more the people pleaser. Be like, oh no, what if they don't like it? What if they
Yeah,
don't, buy my product, buy my whatever? And so they do all this, you get to the point of pandering to them, like, all right, I think that the audience wants this. And to your point, if at some point you have to look at it and say, like, if you weren't going to buy it, if you don't like it, what makes you think that other people will?
yeah, absolutely, man. And that's a big thing. And if you are putting in the effort, it shows. Like that's the big thing. Like if you are going to half-ass it, then what's the point? There's, are you only going to put part time when you play a video game? Like, think about it. How much effort do you put into Elder Scrolls? Like,
Yeah.
you can't half step Elder Scrolls, man. You're gonna die. If you go in, look at all those kids playing Minecraft. Like come on, like if you put effort in, the work shows. And if you want something, just like my marketing agency, I went from corporate world and I was like, man, this sucks. To the point where I was like, you know what, man, I think I'm gonna start helping out more gamers, and I'm gonna help out entrepreneurs that are trying to build something, podcast hosts, crowdfunders. And I start work, and now I work more with music artists and creators and gamers and things that I enjoy. The money's not there. It's not. I don't get all the money that I did if I was working with corporate. But at the same time, like I actually enjoy this. I get to meet new people. I get to see their projects. I get to see things behind the scene and go from there. And that actually helps me because now it's in the same category as my marketing agency and my gaming label are in the same, in the same family, so to speak. So it's like I don't really have to change my hat, too often. Um,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, like I'm able to actually meet these people and then still talk to them at the same level. I'm like, oh, you are a music artist, but at the same time you play video games, or you're a designer making a crowdfunding. Like me too. I just put out a crowdfunding. So we have these common grounds that we can talk about and talk to, and it's so great, man. Like, and I have to say, the gaming community is probably the most positive community I have ever been around. Like, they are just like, oh, I can't create this, or what do you think about, like, oh, and then they come back, oh, you're doing great, you're doing awesome, you should do this, and hey, great job. I'm not talking about the gamers that on the headset when you're playing Call of Duty, not those guys.
Maybe not
Like
those.
those guys, yeah, those guys can jump out of a window.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
But I'm
But the
talking
larger
about,
gaming community.
yeah, yeah, the rest of
But
those
we are.
guys.
It's because I think gaming is much more about that. It's much more about like the celebrating the wins, right? It's all about the achievement, right? And success and progression. So when we see people that are doing that, that are actually, progressing and getting, more influence, stronger, more followers, whatever it is, that gets celebrated. And
Hmm.
gaming loves to celebrate, little milestones along the way, right? Whether it's levels, experience points, achievements. We love to celebrate the little wins, and that's absolutely something that I think is huge for gaming. So I
Yeah,
absolutely love that.
yeah.
I
I
guess
definitely enjoy it.
yeah, absolutely. So, and just to be respectful of time, I want to make sure we get as much awesome value as we can out of this. And so I know a lot of people are going to be interested to connect with you to understand kind of, what you have and what you can offer. So where can people find more about you?
Yeah. So my link tree has all my links on there. So linktree / Mike.Taylor 357. Same thing with the Chaotic Chronicles. The link tree is the / chaotic.chronicles. The TaylorLyfe digital marketing to help you with whatever project you have going on is TaylorLyfe, TaylorLyfeDigitalMarketing.com. On top of that, you guys can find us at chaoticchronicles.com as well. Our Facebook is Chaotic Chronicles on Facebook. Same thing with like Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Mike Taylor Life. That's Taylor. It's Taylor Life. Is TaylorLyfe. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can find me there. You can find me on Twitter, and I think I'm on Blue Sky now. And I think maybe TikTok. I barely check those things, but yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere. You can actually Google me. I didn't know this till recently, so a friend of mine told me they
Oh, there
did.
you
So
go.
Mike, yeah, so Mike Taylor Life. You can Google me, and my ugly mug pops up. Uh,
There you go.
but yeah, definitely reach out. I help many people as I can, or point them in the right direction, or do what I can. So I believe me, I've been there. Wherever you think you are, I've been there, and I am not afraid to tell you how many times I failed and how to not fail in that way.
Perfect. Gosh, thank you so much for being here, Mike. So definitely, guys, check out whether it's the Chaotic Chronicles or the Mike Taylor Life, and just to just kind of learn more. And because again, we're all everybody struggled somewhere, and so just being able to see somebody go through it and kind of pull themselves up and be a success as a result. So that's fantastic, Mike. So thank you for being here. This has been fantastic.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, guys, definitely check out Mike Taylor Life. And, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And before we go, we do have one final question for Mike, which is, of course, what is your favorite video game?
Oh man, my favorite video game at the moment, right now. I think I have probably three that because I keep bouncing back and forth.
Hmm.
Three. Number one is Diablo. I love Diablo from the number one to the newest one. Not my favorite, the newest one, but I still play it. Uh, and then I have 7 Days to Die. Love that game.
I
You
love
know,
that
it's
game. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Oh man, I love 7 Days to Die. And then the Vampire Survivor. I am
Ah,
so
yep.
hooked. Yeah, yeah. So those three games, I will waste those. That's where my fat is right there. I will.
That's if we had to cut, that's unfortunately where we come. 7 Days to Die, I absolutely love too. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours. Both my wife
Oh
and I
yeah,
play that one. So, guys, definitely check out 7 Days to Die. Amazing, co-op survival crafting horror game. So
yeah,
fun.
definitely.
So, guys, again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.
See y'all. Bye
Bye.
bye.